let me. All right, let me share my screen. I was hoping we would have people here because what I wanted to do actually is I wanted everybody, I was going to hand out like the contracts and I wanted everybody to fill one out so I can kind of get an idea of what you know as far as a contract and how to fill one out. So, but we'll do it. I'll do it differently. So let me share my screen here. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Oh my God, this is just not working. Sorry, guys. Command is not cooperating. It's just spinning right now. Sorry.
I'm Johnny's brother, Eddie. How did you find us? So you're Johnny's wife. Mama spoke a lot about you.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen finally?
Just fine. Is he around?
Can everybody see the screen? Who's watching TV? All right. So this is one of my files, and everything that's on this file is basically what you would need to be in compliance with the office and the real estate commission. Okay. So first thing that we would need, of course, is our consumer information statement. And everybody's aware of the consumer information statement.
Ro?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
You know, before the documents we had, like in listing packets and just for listing packets, there was the laws, I guess. I don't remember what it was. It was like a disclosure about you can't discriminate.
Oh, yeah. That should still be in, that's in command. It should be in DocuSign.
It's not, but it's not a part of the checklist for it being compliant. So I took it out of our listing packet because I thought that we didn't need it anymore because it wasn't in command.
Yeah, you know why? Because when they uploaded the listing itself, they didn't attach that. Because I know in DocuSign, I'm sorry, in .loop, when we had put it in .loop at the time, we put it in with the listing. So that's probably the reason why. But yes, it needs to be attached because of, you have to let your, so
So
when
I'll
we're
put it
done-
back into I'll put it back into the packet that I give out, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and I'll look to make sure that it's on our packet, because I know we have a packet here on DocuSign to make sure that it is with the listing agreement. But
Okay.
but it is. And if you just attach it, like make it one file with the listing, yeah, then it'll be in compliance. You don't have to do it separately and then make it a whole separate file in that particular opportunity.
Okay.
I did go to submit a listing through DocuSign a couple weeks ago, and I didn't see it there as well. So I do currently
Okay,
have a
all right.
listing that.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we add it. Let me just put a little note to myself. Because I mean, I'm sure hopefully everybody's aware that they can't discriminate, especially this day and age with everything that's going on, but still, you don't want to assume. Okay. Form 2 listing. Okay, so everybody's aware that, you have to get your client to sign the CIS. Do you have a question? Does everybody know when they're supposed to get their client to sign the CIS form?
They should sign it when they have the first meeting.
Exactly. But I know many of us don't do that. We get them to sign it when they're actually putting an offer in. So just keep in mind that could be a violation. Okay, that if you don't get them to sign it prior to you showing them something, sometimes they won't sign. Sometimes they think that they're obligating themselves to something. But as long as you presented it to them and you can put a little note on there that, refuse to sign at this time and then date it, you're still covering yourself. Okay. And I'm sure we pretty much all know how to fill it out. It's pretty simple. Now if you're working with a buyer, I always put buyer's agent and disclosed dual agency. I just check that off right off the top because you don't know if you're going to eventually show them one of our listings. Okay, so I usually have them do that and then have them sign it.
Oh, with this document, I know EXP, say they have the buyer, they want us to have our seller sign their CIS.
I've seen that. It's the Najor. This is the Najor one too, I think, but Najor has another one. And we do have it in DocuSign. It is. They want. I don't know why all of a sudden that came about. It's not mandatory.
Okay.
It really isn't. You're not representing because they're checking off just for their person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So why would you have your seller sign their CIS? Okay, so no, I don't do that. And that's why I use this one. I use the old one.
Okay.
Okay. Get out of this one now. All right, and I'm sure there's no questions about the CIS. Dual agency will be used only if, of course, we're selling one of our properties in-house. If you're selling another Keller Williams property like Margate, Washington Township, any other one, we do not need the dual agency. We are not a dual agent. The only time we're dual agent if you're selling one of our Northfield properties, one of our Brigantine properties, or one of our Little Lake Harbor properties. Okay, that's the only time that we'll do agencies. I get that question a lot because it's another Keller Williams. They're selling up, and I've even had other Keller Williams call me to tell me that the agent does not want to sign a dual agency, and I have to explain to them that we're not dual agents; it's different entities. So, everybody understand that?
Yes.
Agreement of sale.
Johnny, you're wrong. You're all wrong, John. Four films, 4 stars.
Yeah, it looks like the majority of you guys that are on the call you filled these out before.
Let's just hope it doesn't end here.
Okay, Kendrick's new with us. Who else is with us? Yeah.
Unlike the cases
on TV, a heart breakdown is no mystery. It's gonna happen. I'm Ice-T and nobody likes it when their check engine light comes on, especially when your car's out of warranty. That can mean expensive repair bills.
Okay, so this is our opinion 26, which needs to be filled out, and it's automatically attached to the contract. So again, you would put down how you're representing them as the seller's agent, buyer's agent, disclosed to agency. Again, you briefly explain to them that we're not attorneys. We cannot give them any legal advice. That's basically why they're signing the opinion 26, to let them know that they have a right to take this contract to an attorney. And then you just have them sign it. Do you see where it says listing broker and selling broker? That does not mean I am supposed to sign it. You are, if you are the agent that has the buyer, you are considered the listing broker. So you would put your name there and you would sign it. It's not for me to sign. I get to, so once in a while, I'll get someone sending me a contract to sign it. I do not have to sign it. You put your name there. And then of course you put your name right here where it says the name of licensee filling out the contract.
You okay, hon?
I'm gonna try and make a sound.
What's that, hon?
Dennis, put yourself on mute. All right, so this is the contract.
Ro, for the opinion 26, can the other day, does the agent have to sign it, or can you put Keller Williams Atlantic Shore on there?
Yeah, I've seen Keller Williams Atlantic Shore. That's fine too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine too. Okay, so now all parties, so of course this is where you would put your buyers' names, their address, the seller's name. Please do not leave this blank. If you don't know who the seller is, you can go on tax records, look it up, or just verify it with the selling agent. I mean, if you leave this blank, it's basically not a legal and binding contract. And then you put of course the seller's home address.
Hey, Ro, I have a question on that.
Sure.
Can you put seller of record?
Well, really no, because what's going to happen with that is what happens if an attorney has to kill it? Who are they mailing it to? So that's why so that's why you're better off trying to find out from the other agent what who is the seller.
How do you approach it then if it's like if it's a bank-owned property with I won't name an agent, but agents that are bank-owned and they don't reply to anything?
Yeah, then I mean unfortunately at that point you're going to have no choice but to put owner of record.
Okay.
But basically only for that reason if it's a bank-owned property. But a lot of times tax records does have the bank that owns it.
Yes, sometimes it's not correct because it has the old owner and then the bank foreclosed it and they never got updated. So that's just the last case scenario.
Yeah, so that would be right,
Gotcha.
exactly. So that would be the last resort at that time to use owner of record. But once the other agent gets that contract, of course that should be amended somehow. Just so everybody's aware who the actual seller is.
896-0742. Call now.
Movies is your home for real variety. Right here. I'll show you something. If you missed the start of one of our films.
Okay, so and this is the other, and then of course you put the county, the property address, the county. Oh my God, this is so annoying and to keep doing this.
Take it easy, son.
Lot and block and all that stuff you can still get off of tax records. Okay, and then the purchase price. So we're going to do something simple. So we're going to make it $100,000 sale. Okay, and they're putting $2,000 down. And it's an FHA mortgage, so the buyer has to put 3.5%. So so their down payment is going to be $3,500. So they're putting $1,000 down. So 100,000 goes right here on the first line. The 1,000 goes on the second. Okay. I don't normally do an additional deposit, so I would put 0. And then I would subtract the 3,500 from the $100,000. So the mortgage amount is going to be 96,500, and then the balance of the purchase price is going to be 2,500. Okay, because the down payment's 3,500. They're already putting 1,000, so the buyer only has to come up with another 2,500 for their down payment at closing. So how you know all that is correct? You would take then the 2,500.
I'm in room 314.
And add it to the 96,500, and then add the $1,000 deposit,
You better get something.
and you should get your $100,000. So that's how you know your numbers here are correct.
Nothing.
All the bottom numbers should add up to be their 100,000. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I know a lot of times people get confused.
Yeah.
And they just put the mortgaged amount where it says balance of purchase price. They'll put the mortgage amount there. That's not correct.
I came down here to find Johnny, to get him out of the country. Kubik's orders. Kubik gives lots of orders. He tells you what to do.
And then we can just keep going down, like manner of payment. So normally it'll be the title company is holding the escrow. And here, of course, if it's left blank, it's within 5 days. I like to put a date in there. I mean, I like to see if I usually put like the day the contract is being signed. So if the contract is being signed today, I usually put it on here that I want to see a deposit check by the next day, which would be like August 21st. 5 days is a long time to wait for that deposit check. That again, that's just my opinion. But you guys can run your business any way you want. Line for paragraph B. Yes. Paragraph B would be additional deposit. If there is an additional deposit, you would again put down a date. Here it's saying 10 calendar days after the fully signed contract. Again, if there is a second deposit, I put down 24 hours after attorney review expires. So again, so you're not constantly waiting, because you know what, listen, we all get busy. And if you wait 10 days for that second deposit and you say you have a whole bunch of deals going on, trust me, you're going to forget to check and see if that second deposit came in. Does everybody agree? Ray, you probably get, you can do more than one contract at a time.
Yeah, actually, well, that's my question, because usually I'll try, when I'm representing the buyer, I usually try to get the deposit check after the home inspection, because that's usually where it gets kiboshed. So what do we write, on or before, like 24 hours after, let's just say home inspection, 24 hours after home inspection is concluded?
Yeah, you can do that too. That's fine.
And we just write that after the on or before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can put a date. I mean, listen, before we were even in attorney review, I had a client who already had their home inspection scheduled. So you could have put a date at that point.
But sometimes, like if we put a contract in today, it might be under contract tomorrow. It might be under contract on the 30th. You just never know. Some sellers take an hour to respond. Some take a business week to respond.
Right. I mean, you can do the 10 calendar days. Again, that's up to you, but that's something that you're going to have to remember, you know what I'm saying, to go to check to make sure that deposit was issued.
Right.
So, and then, you know, line C, escrow, like whoever's holding the deposit, you know, usually, again, it's the title company. As an office, we try not to hold the deposits. We have an escrow account. We can hold them. We prefer not to, because we've had agents who forgot to tell us that they're closing on a property, and they're in closing asking us to write a check. Well, if there's no one around to sign a check, that escrow deposit's not making it to the closing. So that's why we'd rather just have everything at the title company, and there's no issues happening at closing. So we're doing the I don't read the whole contract to you guys. I just, if any of you new agents, I implore you guys to just learn how, read the contracts. If you have any questions while you're reading them, please call me and I'll try to interpret it for you. But it would take me forever to go through every line. So I'm just going through the parts where you have to fill out. So we're actually on line 75 where it says principal amount. And that would be basically the mortgaged amount, which would be the $96,500. And then you would just check off that's an FHA loan. I always put 30 years for terms of mortgages, 30 years with the monthly payments of 30. Because at that point, that's really between the lender and the buyer. I mean, so I put 30 years, it's safe. If they want to do 15, that's on them. I don't really think the seller cares one way or another how many years it's going to take them to pay off their mortgage, as long as the seller gets their money. And then we put, oops. I really think it's my computer that's doing this. Okay, then with, okay, so then you're putting here the written mortgage commitment date to be delivered to the seller. So that would be, I normally put it 30 days out. So if we're writing the contract today, I will put the mortgage commitment needs to be to the seller's agent like September 20th. So that'll give them like 30 days to get their mortgage commitment in place. Okay, because normally for an FHA loan, it's about a 45-day process. So if you give them 30 days to get the mortgage commitment and then another 2 weeks to close it. So here I would put September 20th. And again, now you have to be careful. If that mortgage commitment date comes and goes, the seller, let me just make sure. So in order to get an extension, so if your mortgage commitment date comes and goes and you didn't get an approved extension from the seller can go ahead and put this property back on the market. Okay, and your buyers can lose the deal. So as an agent, it is your responsibility to keep on the lender to make sure that that mortgage commitment is going to be coming in on time. You also got to keep on the buyer and make sure that they're submitting everything that is needed to the lender so we can get that mortgage commitment. Is that understood? Does everybody have any questions about that? Because I've had agents come to me saying that the agent basically put the property back on the market and their buyer is losing their security deposit because the mortgage commitment came and went and no extension was done. So, especially with this market right now, most agents should be on top of that mortgage commitment.
How do you handle that when there's lawyers involved? Okay, here's a scenario. So we had, Al had a contract and we started the timeline from when attorney review ended, right? Mm-hmm. So during that timeline, we should have had the mortgage commitment. It should have been to us on July 30th. On July 30th, I reached out to the agent, the lawyer, and the mortgage lender, and the lender said, no, it's due August 4th. When August 4th came, I said, can you please provide the mortgage commitment? You said it was due August 4th. They then changed it to August 7th. Then from August 7th, they changed it to August 11th.
But so, are they changing it without addendums?
Yeah.
There's nothing in writing. There's nothing in writing. Your buyer, that seller could have put that property back on the market.
But if there's two lawyers involved, how do you?
I would just you send a letter to the attorney saying that, you know, due to the fact that the mortgage commitment wasn't sent to us or an extension wasn't done, seller is going to put the property back on the market. Don't be afraid of attorneys. Don't let attorneys bully you. Trust me, if these attorneys are not real estate attorneys, half the time they don't even know what they're doing. I'm dealing with one right now. He refuses to sign the CIS because his thing is we as agents we're always making these people sign all different kinds of contracts. I'm like, because we're always getting sued. I said, so everything that we get people to sign is because at one point we were sued. So he has not signed a waiver of liability or my CIS, and I've sent it to him twice. So in his mind, he knows what he's doing. So don't let the attorneys bully you. You have every right. You're representing that seller. So you have every right. Or the seller needs to go to his attorney and say, I want to put my house back on the market because I still haven't gotten the mortgage commitment. The sellers can dictate to their attorneys. That's what they're paying for. This is how they dictate to you. They can dictate to their attorneys. Does that answer your question, Danielle?
It does. It was just, that file was just messy because we had the sellers selling their house and they were also buying another house.
Right.
So them selling their house, we were past everything. And that lawyer was just, I mean, we ended up closing it, thank God, last week, but we closed it without a mortgage commitment because it just kept getting pushed, and we got everybody involved that we could have gotten involved.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, with other lawyers, when it's just that, I do that, but I mean, our seller they were buying another house, so it was just a sticky situation.
Yeah, they didn't want to get out of it. Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's up to the seller, whatever they want to do. I mean, you all you can do is advise. That's all you can do. And I would advise, if you're advising them to do something and they don't want to do it, I would make sure you put it in writing somewhere. It's like throwing an email out there saying, you know, you advise them to, you know, contact their attorney if they're dealing with an attorney, you know, to cancel the contract because of lack of, you know, getting the mortgage commitment. Make sure you put it in writing to protect yourself.
Yeah, Al did that. So
Yeah.
we have all the emails and everything.
Yes. Yep. Again, as long as you're advising them and they're not doing it and it's in writing, they can't come back and say that you didn't tell them what they had to do. It's in writing. They just didn't want to do it. Okay. So line 93 or E were balance of purchase price. So that's where you would put the closing date. So I usually do 2 weeks after the mortgage commitment. So that would be, I don't know, September 20th. So it would be sometime at the end of September, the date would be. So, and that would go right in there. Come on, go down. Okay. So so the next spot would be items included in sale, which is number 6, items included in sale. It does say everything on here. The property includes all fixtures permanently attached to the building and all shrubbery, plants, fencing, gas and electric fixtures, cooking range, ovens, hot water heater, flooring, yada, yada, yada. I always reiterate right in this line right here, and I still put existing washer and dryer, gas range or electric, whatever it is, dishwasher, microwave, what else is there? If there's fireplace equipment and you want it, you know what I'm saying, and the seller's getting rid of it or they don't want it, I would put fireplace equipment. All pool equipment, if there's a built-in pool, I would put all pool equipment. I've had a deal where it was a built-in pool. We didn't put all pool equipment in the contract, and the sellers took the pool pump. And they had every right to because it wasn't a permanent fixture. So they took the pool pump, and now these people were out a pump for their pool. So so anything that you think that someone can take, I would put it in there. And then again, I'm just going by experience. Play gym, if there's a play set, and their sellers are supposed to be leaving it, then put that in there. Because if you don't put it in there and then you go back for your final walkthrough and it's missing, the sellers had every right to take it. So you have no recourse. Items excluded in sale, again, that would be pretty much up to the listing agent to put in there what's not being kept at the property.
Is it okay to just to add the MLS sheet, because the MLS sheet has everything. It checks all the appliances, and it also lists commission, because I've seen a couple times where the listing agent has gone back and tried to change commission and tried to like.
Thank you. That's a good point. So we just had that happen, actually. An agent had it under contract in the MLS. It said 3% to buyer's agent. On the contract, it said 3%. The agent at some point went and changed the MLS to 2.5%. We get to closing, and the agent calls me and said that the other agent is only charging them 2.5%. I called and I had to verify with the board. I said, because normally the contract will override whatever's in the MLS. But apparently that's not true all the time. So I called our board, and our board highly recommends that you print out that MLS. So that would be your recourse to make sure you get that 3%.
Yeah, because Ricardo had a couple issues a couple times. So I told him it's better for him to print out that MLS sheet. So every time he has a buyer, and even with his sellers, he will print out the MLS sheet that we initially have, and he attaches it to every contract.
Mm-hmm. And after a while, when you do enough of these, you just go by your experiences, because getting back to the appliances, you can say all existing appliances currently in home, because we've had people take out the appliance, like say there's a refrigerator that all of a sudden the sellers decided that they wanted to take it, but never said anything about it during the contract. And then you go to your walkthrough and there's a totally different refrigerator there. That, unfortunately, that happens. So if you put in there all existing appliances currently in home, then the seller can't take out what they want and put something else in there. Does that make sense?
Actually, I want to clarify that. So if you put refrigerator, washer, dryer, those things, if they come back and replace that refrigerator, washer, and dryer, they took out the stainless steel and they got the $50 ones they found off Craigslist, they are technically in compliance, and your buyer is beat. Unless you put all existing appliances.
Thank you. Exactly.
Oh,
yep.
That's huge.
And it has happened. It has happened.
Oh, I had a seller do that. They took out this stainless steel refrigerator and they replaced it with a broken one that was leaking at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I would definitely put all existing appliances currently.
Perfect.
Yep. Okay, so now, of course, the certificate of occupancy. Again, you can put it blank. It's 1.5% of the contract amount. You can put $500, whatever you want to put. I've in the past always put 500. Nowadays it's mostly fire certification, so nothing really exceeds $500 unless the house is a piece of crap. Municipality assessment, seller representative to seller. I always put has not been notified. The seller should know if there's any assessments. So if there is, again, that would be up to the listing agent to come and change that. Quality, of course, we all have to get, the property has to be clear, a clear title in order to close on it.
Yeah, but the leak is coming from upstairs, right?
Let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of leaks in the house. We'll find the kitchen that got patched up, and there's some on the second floor. Yeah, you got me seeing your pictures.
Okay, so yes, so now the quality of title. So now we are on line 181. That's basically saying where, what the property type is. So the property, most of the time it's single family.
If you have a problem with the leaks, then it's different story. You know, somebody's gonna walk in and see that. And, you know, again,
Lois.
for like 110.
Lois, put yourself on mute. Thank you. So here you would put as you're purchasing as a single family, multifamily. I've seen even if it's a condo, I've seen people put condo, which is, that's all correct. That's there's no right or wrong as far as what you could put in there. Tenants. Tenancy. So if there's no tenants, it would be non-applicable. If there is a tenant, as representing the buyer, if there is a tenant in that property, you want to get a copy of that lease during the attorney review period so you can review it. Not that there's much that you can do about it, but if there's something in that lease that you don't like, that would be one way that you can back out of the deal. Okay, just, you know, you got to make sure you tell your buyers if they're buying a house with a tenant in it and there's an active lease, they have to honor that lease. They can't just go in there and tell the tenants once they buy it that they have to leave. Thank God I've never had that happen to me. But I probably just jinxed myself. And then lead-based paint, if it's applicable, you click applicable. If not applicable, not. We're going to say that there is a lead-based paint that goes with this contract. So normally, most agents put the lead-based paint in the documents in the MLS. So then all you have to do is print it out and add that to the contract and get your buyer to sign it. The Real Estate Commission does not want to see the same date. So they don't want to see the seller signing it the same day the buyer signing it. They want the seller's date to be the day they took the listing, and they want the buyer's date to be the date the buyer put the contract in. Okay? That's a huge $11,000 fine if they ever come and they want to see our lead-based paint addendums. And if they see the seller and the buyer with the same dates, that's a problem.
So what happens if we have the buyer, but the listing agent never signed that document, and when you go and ask for that lead-based paint addendum and say it has today on it?
I would document it someplace just to cover your butt.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know that has happened too, because the only reason why I know so much about this lead-based paint is because it happened to us. The Real Estate Commission was in the area one day. They decided to walk into our office and say, give us 20 contracts with lead-based paint. And at that time, and this was like, oh my God, probably like 15 years ago. At that time, we were getting the seller and the buyer were signing the lead-based paint at the same time. Well, who knew that that wasn't supposed to be? And we were fined heavily. So I am adamant about this. If you can, and if the other agent from another agency gives you a hard time about it, I would document it someplace that you've asked a number of times for a lead-based paint that was signed by the seller at the time of the listing. Agent never gave it to you. Document it to cover yourself. Screw that other agent.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
They're just not. They're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
Cesspools. So of course, if there's no cesspools, you would check no cesspool. If you know of there being a cesspool, because it should be disclosed. If there's a cesspool on that property, it should be disclosed. And if there is, you check on there is, and seller agrees to close up the cesspool prior to closing. If there's not, then you can just leave all that blank. Cesspools right now in the state of New Jersey are not in compliance. So any home that has a cesspool is automatically needs to have a new septic system put in. So just keep that in mind.
What if there's a cesspool on the property it's already been converted to septic or public sewer?
So I would make sure that the seller is going to close off that septic system or the cesspool. Again, let me give you, hold on, I got a little tickle on my throat.
Ro, that actually happened to Dan.
Yes.
He had a property like Williamstown, somewhere around there, and there was a septic on there, but there was a abandoned cesspool.
Mhm.
That county would not give a good septic letter because they had to fill in that septic. They had to fill in the cesspool. So the seller had to fill in the cesspool and pack it and everything before a letter was even sent out from the county.
Exactly. And I'm going to give you another experience. We had another agent here who, she had the buyer, the listing agent put it in there that it was city sewer, which it was hooked up to the city, but the septic system was never abandoned. So nobody knew about it. The home inspector missed it. Okay. Unfortunately, and this happens, the buyers close on the property thinking that they have city sewer. Something happened and the septic backed up into that house. So that became an issue. So they weren't even in the house a week and they already had to file a homeowner's claim. So yeah, so if you know about it, I would try to find a way to see if that septic system was abandoned. Septic systems are the #1 lawsuit in real estate. Just everybody keep that in mind. Don't want to scare you, but if you're dealing with a property that has a septic system, please be very, very careful. Ask any questions that you can. Find out as much as you can about the property. If you have a buyer, okay, here's another thing. If you have a buyer and it's a rehab and this contractor is putting in a new septic system and they're going to give you the certification, I would still have your buyer bring in their own septic company to certify that, to check that septic system out. We are now in a lawsuit where the contractor got the certification, everything was good. Now, come to find out there's problems and the buyer never recertified it with their own company. So now there's problems with the septic. So now we're in the middle of a lawsuit. So I know it's expensive. It's like $450 to have a septic certified, but you know what? It's well worth it to your client than to have to come up with the 20 grand to fix a septic system. Does that make sense, everybody? Does everybody agree with something like that? Or did I explain it right? Just if it's a new septic system and then somebody else is certifying it, I would still have your buyers do a certification. Period. The end.
Gotcha.
Okay, so now we're up to the home inspections. Of course, everybody has the right to do their home inspection within a certain period. I think our contract reads 14 days. And then you have to give the report to the seller. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. Just make sure your buyers are aware that the home inspection is for major components of the house. It's not to nitpick the house and to get the seller annoyed. It's to make sure that everything that's the most expensive parts of the house are in working order. Radon, I mean, we've had radon, people test for radon before. That's very rare, but it has happened. There are some homes that you wouldn't think have radon. Wood burning insects. Again, 14 days to do their inspection. Or you could put 7, depending on, how close to closing is. Again, I'm just going to keep going here until we find a spot that needs to be filled out. Okay, so declaration of broker. So of course we would put Keller Williams Realty, Atlantic Shore, and then you as the representative, and then you're the buyer's agent. And then of course here on B, you would put down the information supplied by the other real estate company. Okay, of course, unless you were a dual agent, then you would just put our information up here and you would just hit disclose dual agency, and then you don't have to fill anything else out there. Listing firm, and that would be whoever the other agency is, their license number, the listing agent and their license number. And you can get that right off of the, if you go on to Paragon, there's actually they make it very easy now. You just click on it, it comes up, you put the agent's name in, and the license number should come up on that. Their address, phone number, and of course their email. Okay. And then our information, of course, you know, you would be the buyer's agent, all of your information, and then of course, whatever the commission is. Okay. And I'm trying, oh, here he is. Okay. And then disclosure that so if your buyer is an agent, you would put, you know, applicable and then whatever kind of agent they are, or not applicable. I mean, if you're buying a property on your own, you would definitely have to fill that out as the buyer. Then we have our attorney review clause. And then here you would put here any additional provisions that might come up. Like if it's being sold as is and you want the buyer to be aware, you know, that the property is being sold as is, you would put that in additional contract provisions. Buyers aware, property is being sold as is, home inspections for informational purposes only, whether it's a short sale. So whatever you would need to be put in here that is not in the contract, that's where you would put that. And I think that's pretty much it. Other than wire fraud, that's self-explanatory. And just get your people to sign it. I mean, that's it for the contract. Does anybody have any questions? Especially you new guys. I know it's overwhelming. And what else do we have here? Oh, and then here's the lead-based paint. And again, it should automatically be filled out by the other agency and the seller. And I'll show it to the new guys. Hey, I guess it's not going to open. All right, well, it's not opening, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Does anybody have any questions?
I think that kind of covers most of it.
It's, that's the stuff you need to stay out of trouble. Yeah, it's not. I don't want to exit it because then it's going to take me totally out. Right. It's Thursday. Just keep in mind, guys, so you don't get frustrated. Command is always updating on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Command seems to always give everybody problems because that's when they seem to update their systems or doing whatever they're doing on the back end. And I apologize. Ray, I think at the ALC meeting, Ray, you were saying something about it today.
Yeah, there's a issue with Command right now is sending out property alerts. That's been a huge challenge for me because I was, I came from a big team that has a, top CRM that they pay a boatload of money for. So I wanted to transition to Command so I could send out properties, and it's not working. It's been a week. Ron logged a ticket for me on it, and it's not going. So I was trying to send out some Tom's River properties since I don't have the MLS for that. So I just had to send them from your login, but I don't know how to set up like an auto alert on some of the other MLSs. So
well, there's probably webinars that you can look up.
Right, and that's costly in time. Like that's time that I didn't factor into my work week. So that's what's been costly for me. I might have to get a CRM, or it's going to cost a lot more time. When I was just like, oh, I could pop it into Command, put it in, and set everybody, they're good to go. Yeah,
hold on, let me get you guys back because I don't know what's going on with Command, but I need to get you guys back so I can show you. There's one other form that you need in order to. Let's see. Stop share. Stop share. Okay. Just want to see, let me show you. So there's a couple more forms, unfortunately, that I can't bring them up. So the disclosure of business relationship. Okay. This form is also needed when your buyer is using, if your buyer is using one of our lenders like Movement Mortgage, Green Tree Mortgage, eMortgage, Advisory Mortgage, or if you're getting them a home warranty with American Preferred Home Warranty, they need to fill this out. Okay, so they're aware that we are affiliated with them. Okay, that's a commission guidelines, because we just don't want people to think that we're forcing them to use them. They don't have to use them, but we recommend that they use them. And I think that is the last one, the last sheet. We've got dual agency. We have the importance of having a home inspection. If they're going to get a home inspection, we put we choose to have one. And if they do not, I put on there they are not getting a home inspection. Again, you want to get them to sign something if they do not get a home inspection. We've had problems again in the past where buyer just says that they don't want to get a home inspection. Nobody gets them to sign something. And then all of a sudden there's an issue and the buyers will throw you under the bus and say that you told them that they didn't have to get a home inspection. So if you already have it in writing that they decided not to get one, you have protection. So that's why that's in there for the home inspection.
Ro,
yes.
What if you put that in the contract, the buyer waiving the right to home inspection, or if you actually have 0 days in the home inspection?
But they're going to say, and with the 0 days in the home inspection, they're going to say, well, they didn't realize that it said 0 days.
What if you put in the contractual provisions?
Yeah, absolutely. You can put that in additional provisions. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, and that would cover us the same way, just to avoid the additional addendum, it would have the same coverage? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
So,
I have a deal coming up like that, so that was perfect timing.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as there's something in writing that we know that that they opt out of getting a home inspection, we're fine.
Cool.
Guys, unfortunately, more so with buyers contracts, you have to watch yourselves with every little thing. If you are ever unsure about something, please call me, you can call any agent that has experience, call them. You know what I'm saying? Anybody, if you see somebody in the hallway and you have a question and you ask them. Because it's better to stay out of trouble than to get in trouble. Because, yeah, we all have E&O insurance, errors in omission, but you know what? It's a pain in the butt. Once you start getting sued, you have to go back and remember everything that went on with that whole deal. So my advice to you, ask as many questions as you want. No question is stupid. That's my spiel. Hope everybody learned something. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah. I wrote a lot of contracts, and I still had a couple good nuggets in that row. So thanks.
All the time. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I still sometimes I still question stuff. It changes every day. Every day.
Yeah, I always, I have you on speed dial. I call you at least once a week with a contract question.
And I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
So.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Ro.